Okay, guys. This is probably going to be the hardest video that I'm ever going to make on this channel, guys. Whew. Okay. Hello guys, it's Kimberly. Welcome back to my channel. Now, for those of you who know me, you know that I'm in a really long and happy and successful relationship with my husband, Nathan. We have a 4-year-old daughter. We've been together 11 years, and we have another baby on the way right now, which I'm really, really excited about. But before I was in this really loving and happy relationship, I, a long time ago, was in a relationship with a crazy guy. Now, I have never talked about this on YouTube before or in public. I have asked you guys on Instagram if you want to see a video like this, and you guys were like, yes, 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 we want to know. But I've been really hesitant to make something of this nature because it's so personal to me. And in a strange way, I did feel embarrassed that this happened to me because I was like, well, I'm a relationship expert. Like, how could I have gotten into this situation? But obviously now I know this can really happen to anyone. And so there were so many red flags for me in this relationship that I could have seen, that I see in retrospect, and that my friends and family saw. So I'm doing this video because I think it would be really helpful for you guys to know details of what happened, and I want to share my experience with you. What is really important to me is I want you guys to know that this video is not about him. It's not making him look like a bad guy, because so many years have passed now that I'm sure, like, I know I have healed from the experience, and I'm pretty sure he's moved on, and hopefully he's a much better person in his new relationship. So that's not what I'm worried about. I think the point of this video is to help you guys, is to just share my experience with you, but also help you realize like the warning signs of abusive relationships. So guys, this relationship started when I was in university. I met this guy at a party, and right away I was like, oh my God, he's so cute, he's so charming, and he's so smart. So the smart part is the thing that really stood out for me, because I'm really, like, I really have a thing for like smart, intelligent guys, because I just think they're really fun to hang around with, and I love to have a little intellectual conversation. So right away I thought that he was a really good match for me. But the biggest thing that was notable at that time was that there was a pretty big age difference. He was 5 years older than me, and he was studying at the graduate level, like master/PhD-ish, when I was still in my undergrad, and we were at the same school. So there was like a huge power difference right from day one in the relationship. So we met, we hit it off, we went on a date, and before you know it, we were in a relationship. This relationship was like intense from the get-go. Like, he was like, I love you so much more than anyone I've ever loved before. You're so much better looking than anyone I've ever dated. And he, like, right from date one, he would like bring me flowers and gifts and spend money on concert tickets and things like that. And so it was like really a lot right from the beginning. And my alarm bells strangely didn't go off. Like, I did think, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is like a bit much. But at the same time, for someone who had never been in like that serious of a relationship before, I was like, well, I do feel like really special that he is, you know, spending so much time getting gifts for me. And I felt really appreciative of all of the effort that he was putting in. I was like, most guys wouldn't do that. So it didn't trigger anything too crazy, even though looking back now I can see that was like a pretty big warning sign, like the level of intensity right from the get-go. Things carried on for the first couple months. They were pretty hunky-dory, aside from him being like pretty intense about things, pretty high-strung, like a little bit possessive. I didn't notice anything too crazy though. But the first really big red flag for me happened once, like the first summer that we were together. I had to go away for the summer. I was in university, and I went away for the summer to another town because I was in a professional production of Cats, where basically what we did was like, we all lived in that town and went to rehearsals and then performed all summer. And then I would come back to school and I would use the money to pay for school. So basically I had to leave for the summer to a town like a couple of hours away. So after a couple of weeks of rehearsals, he decided he was gonna come and visit me and drive the couple of hours and spend the weekend with me. So I was really, really excited. And when he got there, it was the end of the rehearsal day. I saw him when I came outside, and he was holding this giant bouquet of roses. And it was like so over the top and like such a grand show that actually it made me like a little bit embarrassed to see him there like that. So I just kind of came over and gave him like a little discreet hug, and I was like, thank you so much for coming. Like, we're gonna have such a fun weekend. And I could tell in that moment that something was wrong. The minute we got home, this guy like freaked out. It was like he was like a happy person, and all of a sudden he was like a monster. And he was like, the way you reacted at the rehearsal was like so insulting to me. Like, weren't you happy to see me? Like, you didn't seem happy enough to see me after 2 weeks. Like, it was so intense. It was like he was like happy 1 second, and then the minute we were like alone, he was so mean. And so he was saying things like, I can't love you anymore. I don't love you. Like, why would you do that? Are you cheating on me? Like, are you cheating on me with someone in the cast of Cats? And I was like, no, this is Cats. Like, literally everybody's gay here, so like it's not about that at all. But like the thought that he would accuse me of cheating, like it was just so far from reality. But I had hit such a nerve by not like paying enough attention to him that we ended up staying up and fighting about it all night. Like, he just could not let it go. And so in that moment, I kind of knew something was wrong. I was like, this isn't what a relationship should be. This isn't really what love is. Like, when someone gets so insulted over the tiniest little thing. But eventually I did just let that go. So when I got back to school, we decided to live together because it would be cheaper. Now, this was definitely a mistake in retrospect because it escalated the relationship to a whole new level. Now, this year I started to notice even more intense things that made me feel really, really, really anxious. So he would get upset or angry about like the tiniest little thing. Like, we could be having a great day, and then I would do one little thing to set him off, and this guy would just lose his shit. So one thing I remember very clearly was like, we had a bunch of doors like in the parking garage of where we lived, and anytime I'd walk through it, if I didn't touch the door behind me to like hold the door for him, he would like lose his mind. He would be like, it's so disrespectful if you don't hold the door. Like he would just lose it. Like, he felt like he was being disrespected. And so it got to the point where I like developed anxiety every time we were in the parking garage because like I didn't want to not touch the door and like face having a massive fight just over that. So little things like that gradually began to grow over the relationship. He was constantly accusing me of cheating on him, which for anyone who knows me, they would know that I would never do that. Like, I'm just not a cheater. But he was also very like manipulative and possessive over me. He would always want to call. He would always want me to like check in with where I was. And he always wanted to spend a lot of time with me. So we would basically spend all our time together. We'd go grocery shopping, we'd go to the gym together, we'd even go to campus together every single day and drive back together. So it was like a lot of together time. Very, very, very intense. One of the things that I did at school was I worked as a waitress at a bar and a restaurant to make extra money to put myself through school. And I remember one night I actually came home from work. I used to come home from work around like 2 or 3 in the morning because I was working the bar, so it'd be very, very late at night. And sometimes he would come and pick me up from my job. But one night I got a ride home from my boss. When I got home, sometimes he'd wait up for me, and when I got home, he was like, how did you get home? And I was like, well, my boss drove me home. And he was like, really? I don't think that's true. Like, you must be cheating on me. It was just so ridiculous. So he proceeded to quiz me on the type of car my boss drove. He was like, what kind of car does he drive? And I was like, I think it's a Donato. And he drove like a few other girls at the restaurant home that night, like not a big deal. And he was like, how many seats does the Donato have? Like, what color was it? So he was like quizzing me because he didn't believe that I actually got a ride home with my boss. Like, it was insane. The guilt that I would feel after doing just about anything that I didn't approve with him in advance would be just intense. Like, I felt like I needed to check in with him on everything just so that he didn't freak out about something that I did. It was really, really crazy. So when we would go out to clubs and events and parties, he always wanted to be like by my side. And I understand, like, when you go to a party, like, you want to hang out with your significant other, but for me, I also like to have like a lot of independence. Like, when Nathan and I go out, for example, like, he chats with friends, I chat with friends, we have separate conversations, we come together and we'll dance for a bit and then we'll go off. Like, I think it's awesome to have, you know, your own individual autonomy and do what you like. But when we were together, he would always want to be like by my side. Like, in a weird way, it was kind of like I was like his little trophy girlfriend or whatever. He'd always want to be by my side, and if he saw me having too much fun, like this is really weird, if he ever saw me like having too much fun, he would kind of pout and get me to come and sit with him because he was like jealous, and it was almost like he wanted all the attention to be on him at all times. So this happened so many times at so many different parties and nights out with friends, and it all escalated this one night. This is the night that I call the wedding incident. So this was like a huge incident that happened in our relationship that basically changed everything. So the wedding incident happened when we went to one of my best friends in the world, Vicky, was getting married, and she had a stag and dough that was out of town. A stag and dough is basically a party that the parents of the bride and groom throw, and it's so that everyone can come and have a great time, and they raise money for the wedding. My boyfriend and I went to the stag and dough, and we're staying over in this town, and we went to the party, and I was just like having the time of my life, and so was Vicky. We were having an amazing time. Everybody was like dancing and partying, and I could see that my boyfriend, the crazy guy, was starting to get very annoyed that I was having like the best time ever. It was like, where's my attention? Like, why are you having so much fun? So he decided that he was going to sit in a chair in the corner and watch me dance with my friends. And as I danced, I could see that he was getting more and more and more like pissed, right? Like you could see his face like literally about to explode. And in my head, I was like, oh, I should go over and I should like comfort him and make him feel special and important. But at the same time, I was like, no, this has gone on too long. Like, you are not messing with my best friend's stag and dough. Like, no way. So I was like, no, like he's not gonna ruin this night for me and my friend. So I decided to keep dancing. I was dancing dirty. I was having fun. I was drinking. I was of age, just so you know. But like, there was nothing wrong with that. But I could tell that he was just getting so pissed. When one of the songs was over, he literally physically pulled me into the little kitchenette where they were serving food. There was nobody in there, and this guy was absolutely livid. Like, you can't imagine the anger on this guy's face. It was scary. It was so scary to me. So he started yelling at me like as loud as he could. He's like, I hate you, I don't love you, you're a slut, you're so stupid. Like the worst things that you could ever say to someone that you love. I will never forget this. And he took his tripod, he used to take pictures, he took this tripod that he brought for the weekend, and he was kind of moving it like this as he yelled. And then he took it and he threw it as hard as he could at one of the cabinets in the kitchenette. And that scared me so much. Like, the cabinet actually broke. It caused damage to the facility we were in, and I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. Like, I didn't know what was gonna happen or what he was gonna do. And the crazy part is, like, I am so lucky that my best friend's mom was actually coming into the room as this happened and saw it all happen. So he didn't know, and I didn't know that she was there, but she saw it happen. And so as soon as this happened, he was asked to leave, which was a huge relief because I was like so mad and terrified anyways. But then she told us he was actually disinvited from the wedding because the mother of the bride like didn't want this crazy guy to be at their wedding, which is totally understandable. But the most interesting thing of all that happened from this is actually the bride's mom, as soon as the party was over, phoned my parents and was like, we've got a problem. Like, I don't know what's going on in Kim's relationship, but it is not good. So immediately my parents were so worried, and they were like, Kim, like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? What's wrong with the relationship? So at this point in the relationship, everybody in my life started to know what was really going on. They sensed that there was something darker, and I was like absolutely mortified that this was going on for me. So at that point I broke up with him because I thought it was the right thing to do. Like, he was such a psycho at the party that like it was embarrassing for me, and I was scared of him. But then he was like, and this is the part where I feel like a lot of us girls and guys do things when we're in love and when we're in a relationship that in retrospect seems so stupid. He said to me, he's like, I am so sorry, like, I have anger management issues. I'll go to therapy with you, like, I want to change. I love you so much, like, I'm so sorry for what I did. And so at first I didn't buy it, but then weeks went by and eventually I did buy it. I was like, oh, I'll go for one therapy session with you. And he seemed so sorry. And so by the end of that summer, he had convinced me to move back in with him. Honestly, guys, this is the biggest mistake I ever made because the relationship lasted an entire year after that. And that year, I can honestly say it was like the worst year, probably the worst year of my life, because now this incident had happened. Everybody knew what was going on, and he knew that everybody knew what was going on. So it was like a double whammy. He didn't want me to spend time with my family or friends because he knew that they hated him. So he was even more possessive and even more controlling and even more shaming than he had ever been before, which you can't even imagine, but it's true. So it was a terrible situation for me in that very last year. So there were certain things he said about my family that really, really made me upset. He never wanted me to go and visit them. He said that if I ever wanted to visit them, I would have to take the bus and that I couldn't use the car and that he would never come with me. So that was like very, very hard on me. In this relationship, I was constantly asking myself, like, is this what love is? Like, is this what love is supposed to feel like? I had so much confusion around like, what is love and what is true love and what is it supposed to feel like? And is it supposed to hurt? Because this relationship hurt all the time. It was constant fighting. It was constant sadness for me. And so I guess I always wondered like what a good, healthy, happy relationship would look like. And I had my parents as good role models. I had lots of friends and I couldn't understand why my relationship didn't even closely resemble those relationships. Now this fall I had gotten into my master's and this was really, really exciting for me because I was like I felt like I was finally doing something for myself and that this was something that I really deserved and I knew I was smart enough to do it. And I decided that I was going to apply for 2 really big scholarships. One was called SHIRK and one was called OGS. They're huge scholarships. One's for $17,500. The other one's for $15,000. And I was like, if I put my mind to this, I can win these scholarships. I know I can. And so I told him about my plan to apply for the scholarships. And he point blank said to me, I don't think you should apply for them. Like, there's no way you're gonna get these scholarships. Like, you are not smart enough, and plus they only give them to like 1 in 100 people. I just knew in that moment that it was so wrong to tell someone like not to go for a dream that they wanted or something they knew they could accomplish. Like, even if the odds were slim, I really believe that you should support the people that you love and really encourage them and understand their strengths so that you can help them be their best self. And I knew it was wrong to tell someone that they weren't smart enough to do something. In a weird way, this was kind of like the defining moment for me where I was like, he insulted how smart I am. Like, this is a major problem for me because I know I'm smart. So in a weird way, it was like, that was almost the defining moment for me where I was like, I know I need to leave, but I just feel so afraid. Like, I didn't know how to leave. I knew he would freak out because he was so intense. And after all of the kind of like violent outbursts I'd seen, I had no idea like how he would react. He was the type of person that like, you'd go in with a problem and you'd end up like apologizing to him. He could just turn things around like so easily and quickly and be so intense that you'd just give up. And so I was like so afraid to leave because I thought that I was gonna get convinced again to like get back into the relationship, as crazy as that sounds. So this year for my birthday, I decided to have a party. Because I wasn't hardly going out at all and I really wanted to celebrate, I invited like 10 of my girlfriends over for my birthday evening to celebrate and have some drinks, and I thought it would be really, really fun. And I told him, I was like, you need to go out and do something for the evening. Like, find a friend, go out, but just get out of the house for like this one night because I'm gonna throw like a girls' night in party. So I was really excited and the weeks and months led up and finally the night was here and he still hadn't found any plans to do, nothing to do. So he decided he was going to stay in the basement while we had our party upstairs. But I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So we ended up having an amazing time at my party, and at the end of the night, most of the girls went home and a few of my best friends decided that they were going to stay over and we were gonna have like a sleepover in the basement. So he went upstairs and we went downstairs to the basement. As soon as we got to the basement, one of my friends said to me, Kim, what's going on? It was so weird. It was like they knew that there was like such a weird vibe in the house. They could tell something was wrong with me. I looked really thin at the time. I think they just sensed that something was up, but they didn't want to say anything in front of like my whole group of friends. Immediately, like I broke down into tears and I told them what was going on. I told them I was totally afraid of this guy. I told them about all the things he said to me. They were like, Kim, you have got to get out of here. Like, they were even saying, like, being in this basement freaks me out because they could feel that there was such like a dark, possessive energy in the house. Good friends always have your best interests at heart, and these were like my true friends. Like, I knew that they were right about what they were saying. So I made it like an internal decision that night that I was going to leave, but I didn't know how I was going to do it or when I was going to do it. I was just scared all around. At one point, when we were talking about something really like personal and secret, we actually heard something at the door. And we realized that he had been spying on us for this conversation, that he had been standing at the door listening to our conversation. Like, that is how crazy and possessive he was. And so I was even more scared at that point because I felt like maybe he knew that I was going to leave and that he was going to try to do something or say something or convince me to stay. Like, I was just so freaked out by the whole thing. Finally, how I got out of this relationship. This is the happiest part of this story, you guys. I did get out of this relationship, and it's because a couple weeks later, I went to another party with a bunch of my friends from my hometown. As soon as I got to this party, it was like another friend, a guy friend from high school, sat me down and he was like, "What the F is wrong with you? You are so sad. Like, what is going on?" He knew it. He knew it from my face and from the way I looked. I was gaunt. I was like tired looking. So he's like, "What's going on with you?" And I broke down like immediately and told him what was going on. I was like, "I want to leave, but I don't know how." And so my friend, God bless him, I will never forget this friend, said to me, "Kim, you are going to take that car after this party, and instead of driving to your house with him, you are going to drive it straight to your parents. And when you get there," what a good friend. "When you get there, you're going to tell them that you were leaving this guy and that they are going to call him and tell him that the next day they're going to go over and get your stuff and you're not going to be there." So that is exactly what I did. It was everything that I wanted to do, but it was like I just needed someone to like give me permission to actually do the actions and like make it practical for me so I could actually physically walk away from this relationship. And I was so scared of him and of the situation that I really felt like I needed like my family there to support me and like actually physically get my stuff. The truth is, he still did freak out about me leaving, but he couldn't do it in as big a way because he didn't have like the contact with me. And for literally months after we broke up, he followed me around the town that we were in. He would go to the gym after he knew I had a class and like wait by the door. So I'd like walk past him and then he could try to like convince me to get back together with him. He was doing some scary stuff, so I decided to actually move to the city I was doing my master's in and like get out of town so I'd never have to see him again. The craziest part though, guys, is that he has continued to contact me in all of these years since what happened. I don't know what he is looking for, but he has contacted me. He contacted me a lot, like right away, but the thing that was weird to me was that he even contacted me like after it was obvious that he was in serious relationships with someone else and that they were taking pictures in all the same places that he and I took pictures. Like, the whole idea of this was just weird to me, that he would still be trying to reach out and he needed to have the last word or the last little bit of control. The good news is, guys, is that since leaving that terrible relationship with the crazy, crazy guy, I don't think I've ever been so happy. It was like, in a weird way, it was like a world of opportunity opened up for me that I didn't even know was there. Like, I started dreaming really big. I decided that I wanted to do my PhD in London, England. I decided that I wanted to open a business. I landed a sweet internship at the biggest mental health hospital in Canada in the downtown Toronto, and it was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity. And the best part is, guys, you are going to love this part of the story, is that I actually won both of those scholarships that I had applied for that he said I wasn't smart enough to get. So I was like, boom, baby, like, this is victory, this is success. Like, I knew I could do it. And in a weird way for me, it was like the universe affirming that I needed to believe in myself and I needed to know my own value and that I should never be putting up with someone who didn't appreciate my actual talents or things that I was really good at or really care about who I was as a person. A relationship isn't about how you can make that other person happy. It's not about what you can be to them or how you can complete their life. A good relationship makes both people better. You love each other so much that you want what's best for each other. You really get to know each other. You love every part of them and you encourage them in all of the things that they want to do. It's so crazy that it took me like that experience to know, oh my God, like, I do not want someone who just doesn't really know me, who only sees me like as this blonde object that they can control, basically. Someone who's like their little puppy dog. I wanted someone who really saw me as an equal. equal, someone who really respected me, who knew I was an intellectual, who really saw me as like a career woman and someone who was like on an equal level. I spent a lot of time after that dating and really finding out like what I wanted in a partner. And I think that that was one of the best experiences that I ever had in my life, was really getting out of that, just being empowered to do what I wanted and being free. It's like I made up for so much lost time in the years following that. I just became so happy. So guys, I want you to know that if you are in a dark situation, no matter what it is, whether it's relationships or at school or something else dark in your life, like, it does get better on the other end. And the sooner you get out of that situation, the sooner you can move forward to really truly being happy. Guys, I feel like I just told you so much all at once. And I also hope that helps you understand this crazy relationship that I was in. I can see now how I was naive and very silly in certain ways, but I forgive myself for the way I was, because I know I was really young and naive at the time and I didn't know. And if you notice any of these red flags in your relationship, I hope that you're able to get out of that situation. And if you know anyone in this situation, I'm gonna leave some links down below of some resources and people that you can reach out to. Guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I'll see you guys next week for another video on relationships. Bye. I love you.